So you want to open a gift from Grandma. Do you want to open it, honey? I'll help you. It's for Sully. Can you help me? Hello and welcome. Happy almost New Year, depending on when you're watching this. I felt like it was a really good time to talk about setting goals and just the whole idea of resolutions, whether you are looking at these at the start of a new year or at any time you just want to set some goals for yourself. I've always been pretty into this in the sense of making plans to hold myself accountable and strengthen my follow through. But I am also a big believer in letting go of the idea of these pressures of it having to start on January 1st and what happens if you don't do it right, things like that. So let me start by saying my name is Amy. Welcome if you're new here. Thank you for being here if you've been here before. I am just so grateful to have this space. And one of the things I'm really excited about in this new year is knowing that there's so much I've done since my birthday in August to make everything I'm doing so much more intentional and to actually pave the way to allow things to unfold that I've always felt called to. And I'm just really excited that this upcoming year, I feel I'm going to experience more and more of that, including what I'm sharing here. This is definitely a little bit more along the lines, just that personal growth and awareness. And I've been doing a lot more when it comes to energy healing, and I'm loving that. And it seems like a lot of you are appreciating that. And that makes me so happy because my soul is guiding me to create certain things, which tells me it's not really me creating it. I'm kind of just the channel for it. But when I get these ideas, you know, sit down and record a meditation or a Reiki healing or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I follow that. And it's validating to me that those instincts, that higher intuition within me is leading me for a reason, because there's such a bigger community out there of people who are aligning the same way I am, and we get to share these moments together. All right, so when it comes to goal setting, I quit smoking, I quit drinking, I paid off a ton of debt, which I've talked about in some other videos. I have been someone who has had some pretty big goals in that sense. I want to say also that I think there's only been one thing that I was able to just quit the first time and not look back. One of the biggest things for me I used to do is I'd set this goal and then I would not follow through on it. Let's say it was like, I'm going to quit smoking this year, and then I would smoke again and I'd be like, see, forget it, I failed, and so I'm just going to keep smoking. And something that really helped me was to be like, okay, yeah, I didn't do it perfectly and that's okay, but I'm going to start over again today. And like taking away this control and pressure that I used to put on myself for that has been helpful to the point where it's been almost 9 years since I fully quit smoking. I was trying for a while before and it was on and off. That is the same with, you know, when it comes to my diet and feeling good in my body and my skin and feeling like my weight is so much more stable now. I don't eat meat. And for me, that took a while of going back and forth of being vegetarian for a bit and then being vegan and then back to eating meat. And then, you know, just this kind of flow of it. But at the same time, it all taught me, and I'd rather have gotten to a place that I was working toward, even if it meant a lot of trial and error, let's say, because of how much better I feel now. And now my goals are not so much around these very kind of human experiences in that sense. Thankfully, because I've worked so hard at those things previously, they don't feel so challenging to me anymore. But that is just because it's what's been the focus for me previously. It doesn't matter what your focus is. I think that we have to approach everything kind of the same way. And I know I've said on here, how we do one thing is how we do everything. I think that is so powerful. If we don't follow through very well on something over here, we're probably not following through on something over here. So it's not so much about the item we're trying to follow through on, it's about working on the follow through. It's about working on showing up for yourself no matter what. And in fact, my YouTube channel is an example of that for me, of posting 2 videos every day since my last birthday, committing to myself for 1 year I was going to do it at least, and just to see what would happen, because so much of what we want to see happen, we give up too early. It really just comes down to that. And it's because we haven't learned what the next step is. We haven't learned how to be okay not knowing all of the steps, or maybe not even knowing what the next step is, but just deciding that we're going to figure it out anyway and we're going to keep showing up to it. At least this has been my experience. Something I like to focus on too is not so much about saying, okay, I'm going to go to the gym this many times a day, or I'm going to invest this much every single week. And those are all great goals, but that doesn't resonate with everybody. For somebody else, it might be the things they're going to stop doing. It could even be, I'm going to start noticing when I make excuses, when I blame other people for my circumstances. Another thing is, let's say you make the commitment to go more inward and you're meditating more and actually showing up to that and allowing it to be realistic for you. If you don't have a meditation practice already, you are probably not going to feel excited about a goal of 20 minutes a day. I wouldn't. I think that these goals are so much more attainable when we do them in a way that's realistic for us. Because sometimes I think it's like, oh, it's realistic, I can do it, it's too easy, so I'm not going to bother. I need to do something bigger for better results. But the thing is, we do these bigger things, or we attempt to, and we don't follow through because they're not sustainable for us, then we feel worse than when we started. And that's why, for me, the biggest changes that have come from any goals I've set have been simply because I've made realistic goals, and I have made it so that there are like small steps every day or every hour, whatever the goal is, every month, however you're working on it, but that I am taking the step that is next no matter what, and in a way that's realistic. So back to meditation, perhaps your goal is to meditate every day for the month of January. The first week, you do 5 minutes a day. The second week, let's say you do 8 minutes a day, and so on. Allowing yourself to actually do it in a way that you can show up to. That is honestly how I have been able to follow through on anything in my life, or stop doing anything that wasn't serving me anymore. And I am someone who tends to be pretty good at that now, but I also want to say that it doesn't matter how good or bad you think you are at this. Everybody is just as capable as the next person. I think a lot of times people don't even attempt it because they assume, well, I'll never be able to do it. I'm not good at that stuff. I don't follow through. And they kind of just are down on themselves from the very beginning, when the hardest part is just that getting started. It's actually following through on something to inspire yourself to realize, oh, I can do this. I feel what this feels like. I feel what it takes. So that's why these more realistic goals come in so handy. And if you think about some goals you want to set right now, and you actually follow through on them and you attain these goals overall, even if you don't do it perfectly, our goal is not perfection. Progress, not perfection. But if you think about what that could look like a year from now with the goals you're setting now, how great are you going to feel? You're going to build so much confidence in this. And then you're going to have a whole new set of goals and things that you can set for yourself that have now built upon what you've experienced in the last year that you would have never been able to experience had you not done these other things. Because there is so much that comes from just that next step. And I did mention that one of the things I gave up for New Year's a few years ago now was drinking. Because my anniversary is coming up and because it has been so impactful in my life, I'm actually gonna probably make an extra video this week that will come out on the 1st that talks a little bit more about that in depth, because I know that other people sharing their stories was so impactful for me. And I want to at least just share what my experience was a little bit, in hopes that just one person might feel inspired by it or just know that wherever they're at is okay. So if you're interested in that, be on the lookout for another video in the next few days on that, or maybe it's already out depending on when you're watching this. But I just really want to encourage you that so much of this is an inside job. You can make your goals around working out and meet friends at the gym and do things like that, and that helps a lot and that will get you started. But ultimately, what you're building is less about the results at the gym and more about that showing up for yourself, digging deep into you and pulling that out of you, because it is in each person. It's not in me more than you or vice versa. It's like a muscle that you get to actually work on and strengthen, and be okay if at the start of it, the muscle's not that strong. That's okay. That's how it is if you're just beginning to strengthen something. I think overall what I wanted to say is just that figuring out what goals are going to work for you this year. What intentions? I really like the idea of intentions. For me this year, it is about going inward more. And I'll tell you a few of mine. One of mine is to be fully aligned with my spiritual gifts and my soul and make decisions from that place. And I already am, but doing that more and more and more, strengthening that part of me, being more vulnerable here in my life. And a huge one is that I want my life to be in alignment with what my truth is, and to continue to shed the influences of the people and society around me currently, and just the things that I still have attached to me from my entire life, from childhood, from different environments I've been in, because there is so much of my life that is totally aligned with me now, but there are some pretty big things that are not. And they're the scariest things to change. I just want to encourage you that no matter what kind of goals or intentions you're setting, to just really be honest with yourself and set goals that feel realistic and that excite you and inspire you, and also that make you feel like they're really going to help you learn more about who you are internally, your soul, your highest self, so that you can actually live from that place more and more and more. And from that, you will also then naturally be able to reach other goals, like being healthier, like feeling great in your body, being more in abundance when it comes to finances and all sorts of things. So again, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So as you start to align more to yourself in one area, you're also going to do that in all the other areas without having to actually show up with the same amount of effort every single time, because we're whole beings. And so as we start to expand and elevate one area, it's going to happen to all the other areas as well. I'd love to hear from you what you might be working on, whether it is at the start of a year or anytime you're watching this, and some things that have worked for you or whatever you want to share. I'm so glad to be here with you. I'm so excited to see what happens in this space over the next 12 months and then 12 months after that. And after that, I just am really grateful that you're here with me. So thank you. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.